I'm Dan Ackerman, and we are here taking a look at the Samsung Series 5, but a different Samsung Series 5 than the one we reviewed earlier in the year. That was an Intel laptop. This is essentially the same laptop, but it's an AMD version with the AMD A10 processor. Now, besides that big difference, the earlier Intel version was labeled as an Ultrabook. That's Intel's name for a super thin, super light laptop that's a little bit like a MacBook Air. And say what you will about this particular Samsung, it's reasonably thin and light for a 14-inch laptop with an optical drive, but Ultrabook is not really the first name that comes to mind. When you think of it, it's still a little thick, a little heavy, especially compared to the other Ultrabooks that we've seen this year, which are all very, very thin and very light and usually don't have that optical drive. Now, taking the same laptop and calling it just the Samsung Series 5 because it has the AMD processor, and it actually makes it feel a little bit more appropriately labeled. You're not using that Ultrabook term with it, and you can just say, oh, this is a mainstream mid-size laptop, in fact, a little bit thinner than I would expect a mainstream mid-size 14-inch laptop to be. Now, performance-wise, it was not quite as fast as our Intel version. Battery did not last quite as long, although it wasn't hugely discounted in either category. The big issue I have with this perfectly usable Samsung Series 5 with the AMD processor is that Samsung's asking price for it is a little bit high when you usually expect the AMD version of a laptop to be less expensive than the Intel version. The Intel version of this, $799, $850, depending on exactly how you configure it. The AMD A10 version that Samsung has on their website is listed at $849. I wonder if anyone at Samsung understands what kind of laptop you can get for $850 these days. It's a pretty good one, a pretty premium one, and this is a very nice product. I don't know if I'd call it a premium product. Now, that being said, there is a saving grace. If you go online and look for this particular AMD model, you can find it for about $670. That's why I saw it on Amazon this week. And at that price, you can say, I'm getting a reasonable discount, and I'm trading off a little bit of performance and battery life, but it's still perfectly usable for everyday stuff like surfing the web and streaming video and Facebook and things like that. At the $850 price, you'd have to really get the Intel version instead. But if you can find a decent discount, then this is a perfectly good, reasonably thin 14-inch laptop with an optical drive. I'm Dan Ackerman, and that is the AMD Samsung Series 5.